A sudden mechanical failure in a heavy-duty industrial fan triggers factory downtime, draining thousands of dollars every hour the line sits dead. This financial risk creates a specific capital expenditure trap for facility managers tasked with sourcing critical ventilation systems. In the typical procurement path, the first option is expensive. You pay a heavy premium for a global OEM brand to guarantee reliability, draining the operational budget. Conversely, sourcing from an ultra-cheap vendor saves money up front, but introduces catastrophic risk of unexpected failure. Neither extreme is sustainable for a mid-market operation. Procurement managers are forced to find a middle ground, balancing budget constraints with heavy industrial demands. That middle ground is frequently occupied by established mid-tier regional manufacturers. A practical example is Keystone Air Systems, operating out of India since 1981. Unlike multinational conglomerates, this tier of manufacturer operates with a tightly constrained physical footprint. Keystone runs its operation with a team of exactly 46 professionals, yet that compact team engineers a broad range of heavy infrastructure, from high-pressure blowers and exhaust fans up to complete semi-central HVAC units. Their hardware ships globally, reaching industrial facilities across Vietnam, Kenya, Mexico, and Sri Lanka. But their core operations, manufacturing and direct footprint, remain anchored entirely in Gujarat, India. This raises the core evaluation. Can a localized 46-person team deliver the continuous heavy-duty reliability of a global OEM, or are upfront savings an illusion? The answer lies in how mid-sized engineering teams leverage agile manufacturing to compete with larger firms. This comparison table breaks down the mid-market profile. Keystone uses a fully computerized design cell, allowing its 46-person team to quickly produce tailor-made solutions like custom impeller blades. While a Tier 1 OEM relies on rigid standardization, the mid-tier manufacturer remains highly agile. Massive global conglomerates rarely halt their automated assembly lines to re-engineer a specific HVAC specification for a single mid-sized buyer. However, that engineering agility comes with a hard limit. Looking at the volume output row, the disparity is clear. A 46-person team has a severe physical cap on maximum production volume. If you are outfitting a dozen factories across 3 continents simultaneously, a facility of this size cannot fulfill that sheer volume of orders. Buyers utilizing this tier of vendor are explicitly trading massive production scale in exchange for bespoke engineering attention. The scope of service also narrows based on location. Keystone operates as both a hardware manufacturer and a direct provider for repairing and installation services. Having a single point of contact for both the initial build of a complex air system and its physical setup is a massive operational benefit. You avoid the friction of third-party contractors pointing fingers if a unit underperforms. This map illustrates the catch. While they export hardware globally across South America, Africa, and Asia, their realistic on-site installation and service radius is confined strictly to India. Premium global brands justify their heavy markups precisely by maintaining 24/7 on-the-ground local maintenance networks across Western markets. If you procure custom hardware at a lower rate from a regional manufacturer, accepting a lack of immediate on-site factory support in distant markets is the unavoidable trade-off. Without an elite brand name to rely on, procurement managers still have to verify that the hardware will hold up under continuous stress. You verify this by looking at operational history. Keystone is managed by experienced HVAC technocrats and has been operating continuously for over 40 years. Heavy industrial infrastructure is a brutal sector. If a company produces axial fans or high-pressure blowers that routinely fail, factory clients will stop buying and the business will collapse. Surviving for 4 decades requires baseline competence. Compare that track record to ultra-cheap, unverified catalog vendors. When their poorly machined equipment breaks down on the factory floor, they frequently dissolve and rebrand under a new name to escape the fallout. Decades of continuous market survival serve as empirical proof of engineering reliability. It tells you more about the equipment than a massive marketing budget ever could. To make a final decision, you have to align a supplier's actual capabilities directly with the rigid realities of your facility. We can map this on a quadrant chart. On the y-axis, we have your facility's budget constraints, and on the x-axis, your need for bespoke customization. A Tier 1 global OEM sits securely in the low-budget constraint, low customization quadrant. You pay top dollar for standardized reliability. Meanwhile, cheap catalog vendors sit in high constraint, low customization. Keystone Air Systems lands squarely in the high-budget constraint, high customization quadrant. Securing reliable, custom-engineered air systems at an economical price works only if your operation fits securely inside this specific profile. The perfect match for this tier of vendor is a procurement manager operating in emerging markets or running a domestic Indian operation. If you are outfitting a mid-sized manufacturing plant or a large-scale poultry farm that requires heavy-duty ventilation on a strict budget, this is exactly where you should source your blowers. However, if you are a project engineer managing massive, ultra-critical, globally distributed facilities, you must look elsewhere. A semiconductor fabrication plant in the US or Europe cannot compromise on lacking immediate, standardized, off-the-shelf local service technicians. The core philosophy of mid-market procurement is direct. Never pay a premium for a massive scale your facility does not actually need. When the air quality and operational uptime of a facility dictate your profit margins, combining a strict budget with 40 years of proven engineering history is indeed a highly effective procurement strategy.